Good morning, all you My Hero Academia collectible card game fans out there. My name is Levi from Alliteration Gaming, and I'm joined today by the wonderful Sam Tate from Ace Maneuvers, and we are beyond excited and honored to bring you the commentary and stream for the first ever Pro Hero National event. Sam, how excited are you to be here today, my friend?
It is indescribable. This is the largest in-person event we've ever had. 310 people have signed up for the honor to become the first ever Pro Hero National winner, and people are going to be punching their tickets to Worlds here.
There is so many exciting things going on with today's tournament, between entering in a brand new format from Set 3 Heroes Clash's release, from having almost every single notable name and player in the room today competing for Nationals points, trying to make their way to Worlds, trying to get their way in there. There's going to be so much crazy stuff happening with today's tournament, and I think we're just going to get right into it. Round one, we have probably the most staple of staple matchups. We're going to be looking at Kirishima 2 fighting Asui 1. Kind of the old queen of the meta versus the new king of the meta. How do you think this is going to play out, Sam?
You know, I think it's really going to come down to control over foundation space. The thing that Asui really needs, right, is those face-up foundations to pay her costs, so she can actually do the crazy amount of output on offense and on defense both. And Kirishima has access to a lot of cards that flip foundations. So this matchup is probably going to come down to, can Asui keep her key foundations, most importantly, but also, can she pay for all of her costs to have that explosive turn?
100%, you know, and I think a lot of people are very, very, very hot on Kirishima 2 right now as the real dominator of the format right now, as opposed to that position that Asui used to hold. And I think a lot of people think that she's kind of fallen off since she lost a couple of her best pieces in the most recent list. But Set 3 has given her a lot to work with, and I think we're going to get a very interesting show today after everything is said and done.
Yeah, it's important to note Asui has topped the most regional events with 13 appearances in our elimination rounds, but she has an entire set over Kirishima to accrue that number. Kirishima 2 sitting at 10 appearances. So in a short amount of time has closed that gap, and it'll be really interesting to see what Heroes Clash has done to this matchup.
Yeah, it's done some very, very interesting things, provided them with both a lot of new tools to be able to move past even having some of their best cards banned. And of course, we've got some very excellent players behind the wheel as well. We're looking at Phil Birch piloting the Kirishima list, and we're looking at Brian Villantilla piloting the Asui list. So I'm very excited to see how things go between these two guys. You know, of course, that's going to be, I think, the biggest thing when you go to any competitive event, right, is you're looking at a lot of the best decks on the table, but you're also, because of how this game works and how skill intensive it is, you're looking at the best players behind them as well, and thinking about how much that's going to factor into things. And I think that's going to be the name of the game this entire event, because as we said, I think almost every single notable player, every single notable community member, everyone who's really proven that they have what it takes to be champions in this game is in this room today, and that's really what's going to make it such an exciting event.
Yeah, you want to talk about a stacked event. You want to talk about people putting their best foot forward, trying their hardest, doing their best analysis. There's no better time than the first ever Pro Hero National to put that best foot forward. And when you come into an environment like this where pretty much everything's untested, right? We've got a couple provisional store championships. We've got people sharing deck lists left and right to try and get this information, but it's hard not to feel like you're going into this a little bit blind.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we really love the term Wild Wild West in this game when a new set drops, because of how wide open and varied our game is. So many things can be said. We're already just seeing so much craziness out the gate. Phil's turn one build just showing a lot of staples of the format right now. One with Nature being one of the strongest cards in the new set's card pool. Starting off with two of those is going to be very, very crazy. Seizing the advantage in his first checks also being a very, very crazy crazy card, one of the strongest in the format, and then building a chivalrous competitor, one of the strongest answers to Season the Advantage, being one of the strongest cards in the format. So immediately a ton of new data just from Phil's opening build, and very interesting things on Byron's side as well. We're seeing Prone to Dry Eyes and Sludge, two of the very, very powerful new water pieces added to Asui's kit that make her old style of play come back so strong.
Let's talk about this build turn for a minute, because Asui being able to commit herself and ready herself going second gets to play on that 4 difficulty curve and be a little greedier, but we're seeing the power play. This is the power play from Heroes Clash. Seizing the Advantage comes in to flip any foundation you want after you play an attack on response, right? So that's the first thing you get to do. You get to flip something before they get a chance to even enhance.
Yep, it's like, hey, have you ever liked playing apathetic? What if you could apathetic them at instant speed? Very, very, very scary stuff.
And get bonus speed. Like one of the things the Earth symbol was really missing. Now it gets bonus speed, and we have One with Nature's available to pad up that offense.
Right. One with Nature essentially being +2 speed as well, in quotation marks, +2 to their block mod. Usually come out the same thing. Most of the time even better, because it gets around things like speed resets. But yeah, the Earth symbol probably being arguably the strongest symbol right now after set 3 has padded it out so well, giving it a lot of the new control pieces it needed, and just that speed pump that it needed to really get a lot of its attacks through. And the Earth symbol's always been so represented in the My Hero Academia card game for its honesty of its attack packages. You know, they could chain moves like crazy and accrue a lot of advantage, but at the end of the day, the attack is a 3 mid, it's a 4 high. You know, it's just not getting super scary. But now suddenly the back alley coming in with 2 speed after a stun 2, flipping the Prone to Dry Eyes, which counters our stun, and then now suddenly Kirishima putting damage on it. This is a very, very scary move. And between things like back alley and Kirishima, I mean, we saw Phil have to commit 3 resources for his play, but then after back alley building one in, Seizing the Advantage building itself down, and Kirishima resetting a foundation, we are back at 4 ready. The same amount that we started the turn with after committing 3. And we're just going to play so greedy now, right?
Yeah, the Earth symbol really kind of known for having like a milquetoast sort of lineup with a ton of ramp, and you get to like tax your opponent's resources so much while not really taxing your own. Now we've got the numbers to back it up and really present this threat. So
yeah, a big thing that I've always said about Earth's attack packages, right, especially the punch package, right, the one that guys like All Might 3 and Kirishima and all of these real honest characters love to play, is every attack advantages your game state in some way, right? Right, we're gonna reset foundations. We're gonna draw cards. We're gonna build new ones in. We're going to accrue some kind of game state progression from every move we play, rather than just dealing damage from it.
Hold on now.
Yeah, Phil's actually going insane right now. We drew into another Season the Advantage, coming in down into a Hardened Frenzy. This is just an absolutely crazy daisy turn right now.
He smells blood in the water. Our Asui has face tanked 2 attacks down to, I believe, 5 health now. And he just jams that Seizing the Advantage to get rid of that rescue completed, and slams the Hardened Frenzy, which, if you take no damage from this by completely blocking it, it's going to build and clear. We're going to have 3 resources. We could play another attack after this.
But I think I don't even need to, right? I mean, this is a 7 speed after Seizing. We can block it on a 9 here. Check a 5. Nope, don't check a 5. And that's it.
Game 1.
That is it. What an absolutely insane turn by Phil Birch there.
We're just trying to get settled in, give you guys some like analysis on, this is a good foundation to flip. Phil Birch says, I don't have time for that. Yeah. I'm here to win.
Phil Birch says, I am jamming a million attacks this turn. And again, we saw him play all of these attacks on 4 foundations. But in actuality, he went through the equivalent of like 9 or 10 between that entire turn, because of just how powerful the advantage generation of the Earth symbol in tandem with Kirishima 2 is. And I think like the craziest part about that is like in the world where that turn doesn't get there, and we put ourselves in a very vulnerable position to Byron's next turn, how vulnerable are we even really? Because we're going to reset 2 committed foundations with Kirishima, and then the second we mess up and can't stop an attack, it's going to deal half damage rounded down. So it's like also the very forgiving nature of Kirishima 2 as well, which allows you to it allows you to for one be forgiven if you misplay, right? If you flop your lethal turn and then you have to survive their turn. Alternatively, if you are one of the best in the biz, such as Phil Birch is, it allows you to play very, very greedy, knowing that your floor for being punished is just so high because of what your deck's capable of.
Yeah, Phil Birch, a multi-format Universes champion, a multi-time singles champion. So you know that, like, we talk about winner's pace, right? We saw as soon as the second attack dealt damage, he was just right there for it. He was prepared to go in. And I want to talk really quick about the sequencing of the seizing the advantage, right? Because if we have that prone to dry eyes, maybe we don't get there. Maybe that stun coming in early is like really powerful, right? But you know, later in the turn, later in the game, that kind of response to ready to face downs can just completely counter that stun too. Then on the back end, we had the seizing to flip the rescue completed, which essentially made our attack perfectly lethal if our opponent doesn't check well. And you know, it's gonna be slim margins like that all day, I think.
Correct. And again, going back to like the nature of these Earth Kirishima attacks, if that Hardened Frenzy did get fully blocked there, it's building itself face down, and then we are just free to jam another move now, because that card in our card pool is gone, and now we have one more Ready Foundation down in our stage, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. And this all sounds so crazy for like a 6-hand size character to find turns like this, but that's not really the truth, right? Kirishima has 6 cards six cards at a time, but you're going through 8 a turn as that character. Even more if you're drawing with things like Back Alley Haymaker.
Yeah, and I just realized a lot of people have considered One with Nature the best foundation from set 3. We did that without One with Nature.
We did that without One with Nature. The sheer volume of our attacks is what really pushed us over the edge there.
Yeah, the seizing the advantage speed was kind of enough to buffer that out. And so when I saw the double One with Nature, I thought for sure that was going to be integral to the turn. But you know, the stun 2, the extra build, the maybe not the right block zones, right? I have to assume that Asui just didn't have like a really good perfect block,
right?
Because you don't want to just be dropping to 5 so early, especially against Kirishima 2, who's got that response commit. If he doesn't want to block this attack, he basically gets to take half damage as if he partialed anyway. So getting through all of his health in one turn is a monumental task. Losing prone to dry eyes makes it nearly impossible. And it's so crazy to me that we got to just turn 2 off 3 attacks. Everything went unblocked.
Everything. That's just the power, right? If the combination of seizing the advantage, providing that speed bump, and then also flipping their key defensive pieces. Because like, right, if we have rescue completed at the end there, or at any point in time, right, we're able to maybe block a move or two actually. And suddenly the context of the turn is just completely different. But that's just not the world we live in. We live in a world where Phil Birch said, hey, the 8 million cards that I went through, chaining all of my Kirishima abilities, said I wound up finding 2 seizing the advantages and enough moves to just jam on the board until you just couldn't handle that kind of power so early on in the game. Speaking of early on in the game, though, Byron gets to be on the play here, though, which is going to be a big game changer.
Yeah, and so going into this game too, I feel like we have to prioritize struggling with studies. That has to be something we need to see, right? The seizing the advantage is going to just pick apart our relevant defensive pieces, and especially if we want to play as greedy as the average Asui wants to do, we need to have some cushion. We need to have some protection. And while struggling still has to flip, you're still going to lose that overall face-up count to fuel your character. You getting to protect your really important pieces is probably going to be this matchup all day. All the Asuis, all the Kirishimas, it's going to come down to struggling versus seizing. It's going to come down to chivalrous versus seizing, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about chivalrous versus seizing with Phil's opening build. Water has the same thing on the other side of things with struggling with studies. 2 very, very key protection pieces against one of the most key control pieces in the game right now with seizing the advantage. And I think this is really the crash course of a lot of cards we're going to see across the whole event today.
And speaking of key pieces, I think we're seeing the key reason people are playing Water Asui now instead of the Life variant that we saw all through Season 2. Exhausted exclamation. This says Enhanced Commit, if our character is committed, we get to draw a card. It's like the water symbol's version of passing the torch, and who better than Asui to use this card?
Absolutely. You know, we've talked about so much of what Phil Birch just did and what Kirishima is capable of. Let's kind of talk about what Asui is doing right now in set 3, because I mean, this is Byron's on the plate this game. This is his game to try and maintain control over. Let's talk about what he's doing. You know, you were talking about playing very, very greedy, right, and enabling us to do that. But that's also not the world that Asui lives in anymore. You know, we are very, very used to the list that got really popular into the tail end of the season 2, where it was just, you know, the railgun Asui decks trying to jam 8 million attacks super duper fast on turn 2, and then of course losing things like Frog Lashing and Amphibious really put that deck style down, and the character itself for the time being. But now, with a lot of the cards in set 3, we're really seeing Asui return to more of her set 1 era, right? Where she was just a very, very good stuff, defensive combo-oriented water deck that could survive forever if need be, and eventually play 12 attacks on you, but also sometimes drew 7 attacks on turn 2 and was able to play them all. You know, that was the duality of what Asui could do in set 1, and I think we're returning to that world of Asui, right? And that's what we're seeing right here, right? Just a very solid turn 2 build now, and now we have the stage to eventually just say, the second we draw 7 attacks, we are playing 7 attacks.
Yeah, you can see like the polar opposites, right? We have a way bigger build that we're playing really conservative now, and the thing that the life symbol has over the water symbol is a lot of little +1s. A lot of your moves just deal a little bit more damage. You don't have to draw quite as many. And that's really what Prone to Dry Eyes has given back to the water symbol.
Yes.
It has given it that blanket +1 to all your attacks. And, you know, you can keep doing that on each attack. It scales as you have cards to discard. So 1 with nature, on the earth symbol, you discard, you get some speed and some fake speed and some damage. Prone to Dry Eyes on the water symbol, we're going to discard a card, and all of our attacks are going to get that bonus. So
yeah,
sort of a similar like resource management from both characters, but the way that they execute it completely different.
So different, yeah. And that's just like the fluidity that set 3's card pool has brought back to Asui, right? I mean, Prone to Dry Eyes being a card that helps the whole play 10 attacks in a turn style, providing so much damage pump over time. And then Exhausted Exclamation being a card that lets her find that gas, but also find that extra defense and just draw more cards, like how the life symbol variants were able to do. And then, you know, looking into the attacks, right, we've got things like Sludge now. Sludge almost being like a mini back alley haymaker, right? You know, it stuns, it readies our things, right? Almost like a mini Frog Lash at that point too. You know, we're achieving a lot of the same things that we got to do back in set 1 Asui with a lot of these new cards, and it's really a lot of those key new Eraserhead foundations from the starter deck in tandem with a lot of these really choice new water attacks.
Yeah, Phil Birch counting up those foundations, making sure that he's managing that deadlock. Water, some of the best deadlock threats out there, and the deadlock threats that you really don't want to fight against are ones that are going to clog your card pool.
Yeah,
because we have double creepy realization out. That card pool could become a liability really fast.
Yeah, we cannot plunge deep into deadlock, because the second Byron builds a first villain encounter, it has the potential to completely blow us out in tandem with those creepies. So those are definitely some of the more choice ones. Ice Storm, of course, being one of Water's premier deadlocks. A lot of scary stuff to look out for. And we are actually in deadlock right now as Phil Birch. We are at 11. But of course, we have things like someone with style and a couple shock absorptions that are going to let us control our stage there. So we don't have too much to worry about as some of those more attacks, those attack deadlocks might come into play here. Basic Training, another really choice deadlock brought to the water symbol, showing up there as our check. So it looks like we're finally ready to sling some orange in this matchup. We're finally ready to start getting our aggression in. It looks like a Prone to Dry Eyes usage is coming in here. So we got a blanket 1 damage to all of our moves right now. I'm really interested to see how far Byron's going to go this turn. This is a lot of potential to get very crazy.
Yeah, we've got all the resources we could possibly need to pass all of our checks. I think it's really going to come down to how many attacks can we actually draw, because Phil technically has access to what, 4 cards, right? If we actually have 0 cards in our hand, Kirishima can destroy a foundation to just blanket draw a card. He doesn't get to replace it. It would get him out of deadlock,
right?
And it would give him an additional card, but blind drawing blocks against Asui has to be terrifying.
Yeah, if they're jamming a tongue whip, you have to draw that low block, or you're taking 8,000 damage. So I mean, you're talking about how many attacks are we going to actually play this turn? As essentially a 9-hand size character right now, with our pair of exhausted exclamations on our board, potentially a lot. I'm peeking some heat waves in the hand as well, so we're going to see a lot of cards this turn. The big thing here, I think, is the learning the standards. That's going to be the big equalizer on Phil's side of the board right now.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, when do you think that we pop this? Because you don't want to fire it off too early. You don't want to just take a free poke and lose a foundation. And it's one of the only ways you're going to get Asui to be forced to play progressive. And Byron's hand, incredibly angry. What if we don't have the foundation to play? Our turn's just over, right?
Exactly. So that could have been an interesting an interesting dare that Phil Birch could have proposed there. But we didn't. We just chose to take it as a whole, not respond with any of our learning the standards. Now we're seeing yet another one of these really cool new water attacks that extend our age-old Asui game plan in this Todoroki attack here that lets us again ready our foundations. Right? It tells our opponent ready one of our foundations, but we're still readying one of our foundations nonetheless.
Yeah, it's super strong when it's, exhaust exclamation. It's the only one you want to be committed, of course. But Freezer Burn, if you try to play any enhances, you can just, if your rival tries to play any enhances, the Freezer Burn player can destroy one of their foundations in response to cancel it. So if Phil tries to do a non-character enhance ability, we might see that tape get destroyed, and all of a sudden the only target is the exhausted exclamation.
Exactly. I'm gonna wave my finger just a little bit at you there, Sam Tate, because you said any enhances we can cancel. We can cancel any abilities with Freezer Burn, my friend. This card is off the charts. Any abilities during this attack is our exact wording, which I believe lets us shut down learning the standards if we so desire.
I'd have to pull up learning the standards to take a look. It might be after it resolves.
After it resolves.
Yeah, I believe it's after the non-blocked attack resolves.
So we can definitely pull up learning the standards and get that super clarification there. But that's immediately a very powerful interaction that we can consider. We're looking at after you take damage from an unblocked attack.
Oh, so it would be during the damage step. Right. That is during the attack. During an attack would be the enhanced step, the block step, the damage step. So you're 100% correct.
Yeah,
this is no longer really an option for us, at least during this attack.
We do not want to remove our learning the standards just to tell Byron to destroy a foundation. That does not feel very good as Phil Birch for me.
Yeah, and popping that learning the standards after a Crow and Frog takedown doesn't feel great because they're still just playing on like a regular progressive difficulty. That Freezer Burn still would have been on a 5. So seeing a lot of really intricate little plays where these players have powerful abilities in play, but finding the right time to use them, that is the skill.
Yeah, and man, speaking of the skill, take a look at Byron's hand, man. This thing is nothing but orange. Sometimes you just have the skill to draw 10 attacks. I mean, what do you think is Birch's thought process here? Because we are seeing just eating attacks to our face without a care in the world. Not even Kirishima responding. What do you think is going through his head as he stares down the barrel of Byron's weapon here?
If I had to guess, what's going through his mind is, man, I hope that's not 6 other attacks in his hand, unless we're popping that learning the standards. And because we haven't seen another Dry Eyes activation come out, that could be, this is the dance, right? If he's not discarding things to keep ramping up his damage, he's probably playing around the learning the standard, which you have to assume comes out eventually, right? It has to. You can't just keep taking these to the face. But I know, if Phil could see his hand, you would fire that off as soon as you could.
For sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. If Phil would have fired learning the standards on the first move, we would have been in a really bad position as Byron. So, I mean, it's flipping tape here.
We're readying Asui.
To ready Asui, yeah,
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And we've got, so Frog Kick is a really interesting card. It's pretty slow. but it's a low,
Very slow.
but it's a low attack, so it shares with a lot of these water ranged attacks, right? It's a lot of the same zone overload. Usually it's Crow and Frog Takedown and Frigid Heatwave all your highs because there's such good value, but the meat and bones of your offense is going to be lows, so you don't want to waste a low block on probably the least impactful attack by itself. However, if you don't block it, if you do take damage from it, the next one gets even faster.
It feels very bad to eat that attack to the face because it is so easily blockable. But then you give Asui your only low block, and then Tongue Whip just destroys your whole life.
So these two cards in Phil's hand have to be super important to him.
They've got to be the chunkiest moves in our entire deck, because we are very dedicated to just taking as much damage as we can here. And then the Learning Standard is coming out. We don't have a foundation in our hand as Byron.
Yeah, that is the strength of this card. It just ends the turn depending on what your opponent has in their hand. So not getting to progress that board, maybe not something we're worried about because we are really close to deadlock. But
right.
Phil now knows pretty much that all of these cards in the Asui player's hand are almost certainly attacks. So you want to make her block with them. You want to make her block with these attacks as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely wanted to hang on to these attacks as long as we possibly could. It's very interesting. I wonder if, as Byron, seeing those learning the standards on board and opting to discard the only foundation in our hand, maybe we just don't care, right? Maybe we just don't care, especially about advancing our build. The Earth symbol, probably one of the real only balancing aspects remaining of the Earth symbol is it still doesn't have very powerful deadlocks to punish you with. If there's not a pull no punches on board and you're playing a punch deck, there's not a whole lot else the Earth symbol can really throw at you scary deadlock wise, especially on their attacks, right? Because obviously if they're on foundations, you can see them coming. If they're on attacks, that's the surprise ones. Attack wise, I think they've only got like Berserker Blow is the scariest deadlock on an attack for the Earth symbol.
That's the last one I saw any Earth Kirishimas, especially mainboarding, right? Was just that one. And we did see it do work in the provisional against Momo, who was like the terror of that format at the time.
It does do a lot of work, yeah.
Being able to snipe out foundations. But I want to comment on, here we see that prone to dry ice play we talked about from the first game, right? We don't have seizing. We don't get rid of that. Our stun 2 is basically just switch face-ups for face-downs, right? We have the same total foundation count after prone to dry ice gets to ready 2 of our face downs.
Correct. So yeah, I mean, so do we think Phil Birch can deal 20 damage here?
Can he pose 20 damage? Yes. Will it actually go through between double creepy, rescue, tape? Is that even, I think that's a self-assured for the zone change. We guarantee that we've got, the right block zones and everything like that. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to, does he have another stun move, right? We don't have the targeted flip to get rid of specific foundations, but if we can just tax out the total foundation count, double one with nature is going to make moves hit.
That's extremely correct. We talked about deadlock being the real balancing factor against Earth. One of the biggest balancing factors since the game has began against water is stun. Water's always been very, very weak to stun, super reliant on these defensive pieces on their board to reduce speed, to make them never have to actually commit anything when they're blocking. The second you start committing those cards themselves, then they have to commit their other good cards to block because their speed reduction is committed, and now suddenly we have no stage, and our whole defensive game plan is very shattered. Between double one with nature, we only have to actually commit their board out so much before everything becomes very unblockable.
What a really cool value play, because we didn't have a face down for this job. We need cards to discard with one with nature. So new training method, getting to flip and commit, add a foundation to our hand after we check it, right? That's how we pay for our cards. We have to check the top card of our discard pile, or the top card of our deck into our discard pile. And that's going to give us fuel to ready something. And it's going to give us fuel for one with nature. So this could turn into an incredibly scary turn very quickly. Yeah,
this is a very, very big hard and chop. 9 damage is a lot of damage when we're a 20 health, 7 hand size character. we're definitely projecting that things are just going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's just going to be a matter of how many attacks we can continue to find here as Phil, because at the moment you can almost consider everything pretty unblockable in the sense that we're not very allowed as Byron to commit our creepies, right? Unless we're going to send the slowest move possible that we can block without having to commit our creepies, which between our one with natures, yeah, that makes more sense. It's a proper noun.
Yeah.
Between our one with natures, we can orchestrate an attack like that pretty easily every single time.
Yeah, it's almost like Phil Birch is 2 with nature at this point.
He is 2 with nature. Phil Birch is 2 with nature, and he's got snack time for even more stun if he really feels like it. Snack time also being another very, very standout card in set 3 that I think has been pretty underpraised as of late. But it's a very, very, very powerful tool, especially when you're in a matchup where stun is so prevalent, and it's also got a very powerful deadlock as well. Again, another big bonus to the Earth symbol. And speaking of big moves, whew,
I was just about to say, one of the best tools Earth has had for killing 7-handers is Texas Smash. And what better place to run it out than right here in Dallas, Texas?
We are in Dallas, Texas right now. And we might just see Byron fall prey to the might of this Texas Smash, because we can make this very, very unblockable. And then as long as we have another move to put 4 damage onto the next one, like that could get to 11. We get a 1 with nature discard or a Kirishima +2 in there, it can get to 11. It's by no means impossible. So there's our build down. Our Texas Smash is now, it looks like 10 damage after our combo enhance and a Kirishima usage.
Yep, and that's going to be our second Kirishima enhance. So twice per turn, Kirishima gets to destroy one of these foundations, typically committed, gets to build one from his hand face down, comes in ready, we get to replace that resource, and then we get to draw a card and get 2 damage. This enhance does practically everything you could ever want.
It is actually just every single button press under the sun. So this Texas is getting very, very, very scary now. I don't know if we've popped 1 with nature during this attack at the moment.
It looks like we've definitely done one of the discards because we got 4 from itself,
right?
2 damage from our character, and then I am assuming the 2 damage from the 1 with natures, but I don't see the speed. So I have to assume it's a 1 with nature activation. And
alternatively, a really interesting interaction here, right, is Texas Smash discards for +4 to the next.
Of course.
We respond with both 1 with natures for a damage and a damage. Because at this point now, if we all we really actually have to do, right, is just get this block out of the way, commit all their stuff, and then our next move can just full send home, right?
Yeah, one of the coolest things about 1 with nature, the damage that it gives is a response to discarding a card for any reason. So the combo enhance for Texas Smash to discard 1 card, our next attack gets 4 damage, that qualifies.
Yep. Again, we're talking about so much about snack time, also qualifies. A lot of random ways to discard cards. Heck, if we use the petty squabble on our board to discard 2, draw 2, it activates our 1 with natures, effectively turning them into like mini copies of homage to our heroes, just popping free 1 damage on every single move till the end of time.
So we're at a point now where Phil has 1 card in hand.
Yes.
Which means we have to assume that it's the next attack that's coming in for mega damage.
Damage.
We are telegraphing we don't have a high block.
Yeah,
right?
okay, the creepies are coming in. I mean, that's the purpose of this Texas Smash came down to either force a block and have to commit the creepies to block it, or just outright use the creepies so that our next one can get it in good, right?
Yeah, I think we got a little peek at the hand. I think it's a +2 mid and a +2 low.
Yep, we do have Tongue Smack, Heat Wave, I believe. And there's the uppercut coming in on the 8.
Uh-oh. This is not the zone we want into this low block lineup, but can it become too fast to block and too much damage?
So it can, because our petty squabble is going to come in to discard 2 cards. We have no cards, draw 2 for free, and then we're going to pop our double 1 with nature off, right?
Petty Squabble's upside down. I'm not sure if that's because of the once per turn being used or because there's nothing that seals. So normally you would turn it upside down when it gets sealed. I think that's just to denote, yeah, he's committing his character.
There it is.
You're right.
And now we can activate double 1 with nature, effectively making this a 7-speed move.
Yep,
right,
plus the
4 to their block modifier. So a 7-speed move. We have a 1 low now with Observant Student in our hands, so we can block on a 10. Even if we check a 5, we have 4 things to commit. So I think this uppercut is going to be the finishing move to close out this game after we activate these one. Alternatively, we can also activate a snack time as well for 1 speed and stun 1.
There is a +1 low block, so we do have about the best chance that we have of surviving this. But I think you're right, Levi. I think the writing's on the wall. This is.
I think mathematically this should be on a 10 effectively.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, maybe not.
We're counting it up. We're making sure the math is correct, and he had just enough. We had just enough to pass that block.
Okay, I guess it was on a 9 then. Must have been on a 9 then.
Yeah, it's +4 to the block mod, 3 base speed, effectively 7 +1 for the block modifier, +1 for the progressive. I'm going to say I thought it was a little strange that we didn't discard that ranged attack from our card pool. You know, Asui can do that on defense and then flip a foundation to ready. That tells me that we really need these resources, right? Half of our stage is face down. We're running out of fuel.
Yep. So I think the big thing there, right, is it was that would make it on an 8 or a 9, meaning we have to check a 5 either way. Although kicking that one out of our card pool would have allowed us to check a 4. Right. And still be able to commit there.
And creepies are 4s. There's really strong 4s
in our deck.
the
And now it's possible that Byron, potentially a very, very heads up good player here, knows the contents of his deck and knew he had no 4 checks remaining, so he didn't feel the need to give himself leeway to check a 4 there.
Yeah.
But regardless, the plays he executed allowed him to survive that turn, and he's getting one more chance now to try and deal this last 12 damage to Phil Birch. I don't know that there's a world where he can't. Right.
Phil has no cards in hand. He has no defensive response. He let it all ride on that one attack, saying, look, you have to have a +1 low. You have to check well to block it. These are the plays that you have to make, right? We're already
These are the plays that you have to make, Sam Tate.
We were already down by 15 health, right? Our response commit isn't going to help us too much once we drop below 10. So it was an interesting gambit, but Phil Birch being up a game means we get to go first game 3. This is looking pretty over at this point.
For sure, yeah. I mean, we know that as Byron, right, we still have 2 heat waves and a tongue smack. I think we've got even more moves in our hand now. We have like 30, 40 damage chilling casually.
There's one angle here, and we saw it in the first game actually.
The learning the standards.
If Byron has no foundations in hand, his turn is over.
Oh my God, do we have no
non-attack?
foundations in our hand?
If he only has attacks, his turn is over.
Okay, no, he has a foundation. He has a foundation. He has a struggle. Oh my God, that would have been crazy. Oh my goodness, that's like the one outer right there that Phil Birch could have potentially hit to have survived this turn.
That could have been the most anime move of all time.
Absolutely, that would have been literally the most choice chance in the entire world. The miracle there to have let Phil Birch survive that turn. Unfortunately, Byron was the only one to receive miracles in that game, and these two fine gentlemen are moving on to a very exciting game 3.
Yes, I'm happy we got the game 3 right. I want to see more of both of these decks. I think that this is a very good snapshot of our meta game, especially for any decks on these symbols.
100%. I think Earth as a whole, potentially one of the strongest symbols. Kirishima, potentially one of the strongest characters in our format right now. And of course, Phil Birch, one of the best in the biz players, piloting him. This is a very, very premium, fine, top-tier example of what to look for when it comes to taking Kirishima into account from a meta perspective. And then Asui being one of the heroes of the previous formats, making a big splash, coming back in with all of her new water support. Definitely a lot to look forward to there as well. You know, if you're trying to be heads up for the meta right now, especially as we continue through Heroes Clash's card pool and how it continues to evolve and change things, regardless of what happens in the future, I think one of the two universal constants right here will be Earth Kirishima 2 and Water Asui 1.
Let's talk game mechanics while they're sideboarding, because these have been some very fast games, and we might not get the chance later. But when it comes to the universe's system for the My Hero Academia card game, you know, when we play cards, we have to discard the top card of our deck, and we compare the control value to our difficulty. And we're basically trying to match those numbers, right? A 5 difficulty, we want to hit a 5.